Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Monday, February 2nd, 2026.
Wow, February already.
I know, right? And
Yeah.
if you are listening to this, you've probably had your coffee, you've checked the headlines, and you already know the news that basically broke the internet late last night.
It was everywhere this morning.
We are fresh off the heels of the Grammys,
Yeah.
and I think we can officially say the Wicked era has reached its zenith.
It really has.
Defying Gravity, that duet with Cynthia Erivo, took home Best Pop Duo Group Performance.
You know, it feels less like a typical award win and, I don't know, more like the final puzzle piece just locking into place.
That's a great way to put it.
We've been living in the grip of these films for, 2 years now? Part 1 in late 2024, Part 2 just a few months ago in November 2025.
Just been a whole cultural moment.
A huge moment. And watching Ariana Grande, Ariana Grande Butera, as she's credited now, stand on that stage,
Yeah.
it felt consequential.
It really did. And look, we could easily spend an hour just talking about the acceptance speech or the dress, but I want to zoom out a little. Because seeing her up there, holding a Grammy for a musical theater standard, it struck me that we aren't looking at a pop star in the traditional sense anymore. We're looking at a statistical anomaly.
That's the perfect way to frame it. It really is. If you look at the data, and we have a mountain of it today, from Billboard charts to box office receipts to actual vocal analysis, her career path just shouldn't have worked.
It shouldn't have.
Teen idols don't usually become global pop titans. It's a very rare thing.
And pop titans don't usually become critically acclaimed method actors. That's another jump.
Right. And yet she has navigated every single one of those pivots, and not just navigated them, but dominated each stage.
Exactly. And that is our mission today. We are going to deconstruct the architect of pop. We're just going to list her hits,
No, this is about the how.
It's about the how. How did she build this empire? We're talking about a transition from a Nickelodeon sidekick to an artist with 90 million records sold, a billion-dollar fragrance business, and now a serious Hollywood foothold.
And we have to talk about the resilience required to do that. Because I think beneath the ponytail and the diva rumors that the tabloids just love to feed on,
Oh, they love it.
there is a level of business strategy and, frankly, vocal engineering that is honestly terrifying.
Just let's get into it.
Yeah.
And to understand the architect, I think we have to look at the blueprints. We have to go back to Boca Raton, Florida in the 90s.
Right, born in 1993. Now, usually when we talk about pop stars, we hear the rags to riches story. The kid from nowhere who got a lucky break.
This is not that story.
This is not that. This is a story about nature and nurture colliding in a very, very specific way. Her mother, Joan, is the CEO of a marine communications firm. I mean, this is high-stakes corporate leadership.
Which is a crucial detail I think people miss. It's so important. When you see Ariana negotiating contracts later in life or managing her brand with such precision, that isn't accidental.
No, it's learned behavior.
She grew up watching a woman run a major company. That boss mentality was modeled for her at the dinner table every single night.
Absolutely. And then you have her father, Edward, who is a graphic designer. So you get this intersection of corporate shark and visual artist right there in her DNA.
This is an art.
Exactly. She's of Italian-American heritage, very proud of the Sicilian and Abruzzese roots, but it's that blend of business and art that I think truly defines her entire approach.
There's a story in the research that I love because it sounds like a lie, like something from a biopic, but it's completely documented.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
She's 8 years old on a cruise ship.
The Gloria Estefan story?
Yeah, can you imagine? She's belting out a song at karaoke, and Gloria Estefan is there, hears her, and literally stops to tell her, you were meant to do this.
The validation of that moment. Just imagine the validation. You're 8 years old. That plants a seed that no amount of rejection later on is ever going to dig up.
No way. It becomes your origin story.
It does.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting is how quickly she tried to capitalize on it. You found that note about the meeting she took at 14?
This is my favorite what-if moment in her entire story. She's 14 years old. She gets a meeting with managers in L.A., and they ask her what kind of music she wants to make.
Right, and this is 2007, 2008.
The peak of bubblegum pop. The world is obsessed with Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus, the Jonas Brothers.
Pure Disney Channel dominance.
And this 14-year-old Ariana looks these executives in the eye and says, I want to make an R&B album.
And they left her out of the room. I mean, literally left.
They ask her, who is going to buy a 14-year-old's R&B album? And honestly,
is that wrong?
commercially speaking, for that specific year, they probably weren't wrong.
But it shows you that her sonic identity, her musical soul, was already fully formed. She didn't want to be a Disney princess. She wanted to be India, Aria, or Mariah. Her goal was set.
But since that R&B door was, slammed in her face,
You found a window.
a very different kind of window. Theater.
Specifically, Broadway. She lands a role in the musical 13 at age 15. She plays a character named Charlotte.
It wasn't the lead, right? She was a supporting character.
Yeah, right. But it got her to New York. It got her professional discipline. 8 shows a week. That's a grind. And that led directly to the casting call that changed everything. Nickelodeon's Victorious.
Enter Cat Valentine.
The character that made her famous, and in some ways, the character she spent the next decade trying to kill.
It's so interesting, though, because Victorious was huge. It had the second largest audience for a live-action series on Nickelodeon at the time. A massive hit.
But she wasn't the star.
She wasn't. Victoria Justice was the star. Ariana was the comedic relief, the quirky sidekick.
Which was probably a blessing in disguise.
How so?
Well, being the funny sidekick meant she didn't have to carry the pressure of the show, but she stole every single scene she was in. She was the breakout character. However, we have to talk about the cost of that role.
Well, let's talk about it.
Specifically, the hair.
The red velvet cupcake hair. It was iconic.
It looks iconic in retrospect, but you have to understand, she was required to bleach and dye her hair bright red every other week.
Every other week.
For 4 years straight.
Wow. I read about this. By the time the show wrapped, her natural hair was just completely destroyed, like brittle and breaking off.
Exactly. It was fried. And this is where the architect mindset kicks in. A normal person would just wear a hat or cut it all off. She didn't do that.
No, she created a brand.
She started wearing extensions and pulling them into that high, tight ponytail. It started as a necessity, a way to hide the damage.
But she turned it into a silhouette.
He turned it into a silhouette. Think about how rare that is. You can identify Ariana Grande just by her shadow. That ponytail became her version of Mickey Mouse ears. It's brand genius.
It's brilliant branding born from a complete hair disaster. But while she's filming Victorious and then the spin-off Sam and Cat, playing this, dim-witted character,
She's plotting her escape.
she's living a total double life.
She's doing the hustle. I mean, she's filming all day, then going home, setting up a webcam in her bedroom.
And just belting out covers of Adele and Mariah Carey.
This was the golden age of YouTube covers, remember? She wasn't waiting for a label to give her permission. She was building her own direct-to-consumer fan base, one video at a time.
And it worked. It actually worked. The CEO of Republic Records, Monty Lipman, sees one of the videos, and suddenly the Nickelodeon girl has a serious record deal.
Which brings us to 2013 and her debut album, Yours Truly. And guess what?
She finally got to make that R&B album she pitched when she was 14.
It's such a fascinating debut because it sounds nothing like what was on the radio in 2013. The radio was just EDM, Macklemore, blurred lines.
Right. It was all party music.
And here comes Ariana with a 1950s doo-wop-inspired R&B record.
It sounded like a lost Mariah Carey tape from 1991. It really did.
And that comparison, the new Mariah, was the double-edged sword of her early career, wasn't it?
Absolutely. On one hand, it's the highest compliment you can possibly pay a singer. On the other hand, it kind of paints you as a derivative act.
Critics were basically saying, okay, she has the range, she has the whistle notes, but does she have her own identity?
The Way featuring Mac Miller was the answer to that, I think. That song was a hit, but it felt authentic. It didn't feel like a Disney girl playing dress up.
I agree. It was a perfect blend of pop sensibility and genuine R&B flavor. But If Yours Truly was the introduction,
The next album was The Takeover.
my everything in 2014. This is where she pivots from R&B darling to global pop juggernaut.
And she did it by bringing in the heavy artillery. She brought in Max Martin.
For those who don't know, maybe you can just explain the Max Martin factor.
Okay, so Max Martin is this Swedish producer who is basically the secret architect behind almost every #1 pop hit since Britney's Baby One More Time. He's a legend.
He treats music like math.
Yeah.
It's all about formulas.
Exactly. Melody comes first every time.
Yeah.
Lyrics are secondary. It's about creating a sound that is chemically addictive to the human brain. He engineered Ariana's sound for maximum impact.
And you hear it immediately. This is the era of Problem, Break Free, Bang Bang.
Just monster hits, all of them.
And the statistics from that time are just ludicrous. At one point, she had 3 singles in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 simultaneously.
And the only other female lead artist to do that up to that point, Adele.
That's it. That is the rarefied air she stepped into at age 21. It's insane.
But this is also where the image shifted, right?
Yeah.
The floral dresses from the Yours Truly era were gone.
Gone. We got the knee-high boots, the cat ears, the much sexier, more adult vibe.
It was a very deliberate distancing from the teen idol persona. She was signaling, I am an adult woman, I am a sexual being, and I am in charge now.
It's the classic pop star pivot, but what's interesting is she did it without the big rebellion phase. You know, she didn't shave her head or get arrested.
That's a great point. No bangers era.
No, she just put on higher boots and sang louder. It was a transition based on style, not scandal.
And then came Dangerous Woman in 2016. I always feel like this album gets a little overlooked, but this was her earning respect era.
I agree. It was the maturation phase, and the key moment here wasn't actually a song. It was her hosting gig on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, the impressions.
She hosted in 2016, and she did those musical impressions. Jennifer Lawrence, Celine Dion, Shakira, Britney.
That sketch went viral instantly, like within minutes.
Because it revealed two very important things to the general public. One, her voice is technically limitless. She can mimic anyone, which means she has total control of her instrument.
And?
She is genuinely funny. She has great comedic timing. It broke down that ice queen perception that some people had of her.
It humanized her.
Totally. And statistically, Dangerous Woman proves she wasn't a flash in the pan. She became the first artist in history to have the lead singles from her first 3 albums all debut in the top 10.
That is just, it's pure consistency.
But then the narrative shatters. We reach 2017. And we have to talk about Manchester.
May 22, 2017. The Dangerous Woman tour stops at Manchester Arena.
Yeah.
A suicide bomber attacks the venue as people, mostly kids and teenagers, are leaving.
22 people killed, hundreds injured.
Yeah.
It is. It's unspeakable. There's no other word.
It is the kind of tragedy that ends careers. And not because of any fault, but just because of the sheer emotional weight of it. How do you go back on stage after your concert was the site of a massacre?
Most people wouldn't. They'd retreat. They'd disappear for a year, and nobody would blame them.
But she didn't hide. That's what astounds me. 2 weeks later, she's back in Manchester.
The One Love Manchester benefit concert. And you have to understand, this wasn't just a show. This was an incredible logistical feat.
Oh, the security alone must have been a nightmare.
Unbelievable security, booking. She pulled together Coldplay, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, all in 2 weeks, and she raised $23 million for the families of the victims.
The city of Manchester named her an honorary citizen, which I think is just unprecedented for an American pop star.
It showed a level of leadership and grit that people honestly just didn't know she had. But we also have to acknowledge the personal cost. She has been very, very open about the PTSD, the anxiety, the physical toll that event took on her brain and her body.
And that trauma directly influenced the art that came next, which leads us to Sweetener in 2018.
Sweetener is such a fascinating album because it's kind of the anti-pop album. She linked up with Pharrell Williams for a lot of it.
And if Max Martin is math,
Pharrell is abstract painting.
Yes. The beats on Sweetener are weird, they're stilted, they're minimal, they stop and start.
Exactly. The light is coming, has that jittery, anxious energy built into the sample. And a song like No Tears Left to Cry starts as the soaring ballad, and then bam, it flips into a UK garage beat.
It was her way of processing the chaos in her head, right? The whole album was about finding joy, the sweetener, in the middle of a really bitter reality.
And critics loved it. It was a huge critical success, but then something completely unprecedented happened.
This is where things get wild.
Usually you tour an album for a year, maybe 2 years. You milk it for all it's worth. Ariana dropped Sweetener in August 2018, and by February 2019, she had already dropped an entirely new album.
Thank you. Next.
The Imperial Phase.
Okay, explain that term for the listeners who might not have heard it.
The Imperial Phase is a term that was coined by the musician Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys. It means that singular moment in an artist's career where they have complete commercial and creative dominance. They can do no wrong.
Everything they touch turns to platinum.
Everything. And the strategy for Thank You Next was it was wild. She told her team, I want to drop music like a rapper.
Which was a massive disruption to the major label model.
A huge disruption. Usually you have a 6-month rollout plan, radio promo, magazine covers, press tours. She just recorded songs and put them out. She was moving at the speed of culture, not at the speed of a marketing department.
And the title track, Thank You Next. I remember exactly where I was when that dropped.
Everyone does.
She literally named her ex-boyfriends. Big Sean, Ricky Alvarez, Pete Davidson, Mac Miller. In anyone else's hands, that is a diss track. That is petty celebrity drama.
But she flipped the script completely. She made it about gratitude. One taught me love, one taught me patience, one taught me pain. It wasn't, look what you did to me. It was, look what I learned from you.
It was a self-love anthem disguised as celebrity gossip. It was genius.
And the commercial result was genuinely historic. We have to be clear about this. February 2019, the Billboard Hot 100, she held the #1, the #2, and the #3 spots simultaneously.
With 7 rings, break up with your girlfriend on board, and thank you next.
And the only other act to ever do that in the history of the chart was the Beatles in 1964.
Let that sink in.
Okay.
The Beatles. That's the company she's in.
It's a staggering comparison, but I want to point out the difference in how it happened because it's important.
Okay.
The Beatles did it with physical singles and total radio dominance. Ariana did it by basically hacking the streaming algorithm.
How so?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Look at a song like 7 Rings. It starts with the hook from My Favorite Things, which is instantly recognizable. It's short, under 3 minutes. The trap beat is repetitive and hypnotic. It is engineered to be put on a loop.
So people weren't just listening to it once?
They were streaming it on repeat for hours. It broke Spotify records for the fastest song to hit 100 million streams because it was the perfect streaming commodity. It was built for the platform.
That is such a key insight. She wasn't just making good songs, she was making content that fit the consumption model of the era perfectly. She's the architect.
Precisely.
So she ends the decade as arguably the biggest pop star on the planet. But then 2020 hits. The world shuts down, the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we get Position.
The Quarantine album, and you can hear the shift immediately. The world got smaller, and so her music got more intimate.
It's very R&B, very string heavy.
Very. It's about domestic bliss. She was with Dalton Gomez at the time, and the lyrics are all about being in the kitchen, being in the bedroom. It wasn't about the club anymore. The world had changed.
But even in a quiet, introspective era, she broke records. Positions debuted at #1, making her the first artist in history to have 5 #1 debuts on the Hot 100.
She just keeps racking up these first ever 2 spats. It's
Yeah.
almost mundane at this point. But I think the most important thing about the Positions era was the vocal production. This is where we need to get technical for a second.
Please, let's do it. Because I think people hear her voice and just think, oh, natural talent, but there's so much engineering involved.
Right. So Ariana Grande is a credited vocal producer on her albums. That is a credit she fights for, and she absolutely deserves it. She sits at the computer with Pro Tools, you know, those huge stacks of harmonies you hear in her songs, where it sounds like a literal choir of angels.
The choir of Orianus, yeah.
She records those herself. Every single note. She will layer 30, 40, 50 tracks of her own voice, harmonizing with herself in intricate ways. She cuts them, she aligns them, she adds the reverb.
And Mac Miller taught her how to do that.
All right. He taught her how to use the software, and she apparently became obsessed with it. So when you listen to a song like POV, that rich, complex vocal texture, that is her engineering skills at work, not just her singing chops.
That's amazing. It's like she's the architect of the entire soundscape, not just the singer standing in the booth.
That's exactly what it is.
So we move through the pandemic. She gets married. She launches REM Beauty, which we'll definitely get to. But then the music,
Yeah.
it just stops for 3 years.
Which is a lifetime in pop years.
A
A
lot.
long time.
And when she comes back in 2024 with Eternal Sunshine, it feels different again.
Eternal Sunshine, which has been out for about 2 years now, was a critical peak for her. She pivoted again, this time to house and dance music. Songs like Yes and channeled that whole Vogue-era Madonna energy.
And We Can't Be Friends. That synth pop sound was huge.
It was mature, it was sophisticated, and she played the charts again, too. She released a deluxe edition, Brighter Days Ahead, in 2025, specifically to push the album back to #1 a full year after its release. She knows how to game the system.
But the reason for the hiatus wasn't burnout. It wasn't writer's block. It was a different dream. It was wicked.
The Green Girl, or, well, the Pink Girl, Glinda.
And this wasn't just a casting offer someone gave her. She fought for this role.
Oh, she fought hard. She auditioned 5 times. She basically stalked the producers for the part. And we have to talk about the risk she took here.
It was a huge risk.
She was at the absolute peak of her pop powers. The Imperial phase wasn't that far behind her, and she walked away to go to what was essentially movie set boot camp for 2 years.
And she changed her name in the credits to Ariana Grande Butera.
That was such a lovely touch. She saw the original Wicked on Broadway when she was 10 years old. She used her birth name then. Putting Butera back in the credits was her way of saying, this is for the 10-year-old girl in the audience, not the pop star. A full circle moment.
But let's talk about the voice again. Because if you listen to the Wicked soundtrack, she does not sound like the girl who sang 7 Rings. It's a different person.
Not at all. She completely deconstructed and rebuilt her vocal technique.
What does that mean exactly?
Okay, so in pop music, she uses a lot of breathiness, a lot of vocal fry, and a lower, more relaxed placement in the throat. It's contemporary, it's cool. For Wicked, for musical theater, she had to learn legit soprano technique.
Which means?
Higher placement, more forward resonance in the mask of the face, a clear, rounded vibrato, and this is the most important part, impeccable diction.
The diction. People used to joke that they needed subtitles for her pop songs because she slurred her words so much.
And that slurring was a stylistic choice. It's part of the R&B sound.
Yeah.
But Glinda the Good Witch cannot mumble.
No, she can't.
She spent months with vocal coaches retraining her muscle memory to enunciate every single consonant. It's like a world-class sprinter training to run a marathon. You're using a completely different set of muscles.
And the result was a cultural juggernaut. Wicked Part 1 grossed $759 million worldwide, the highest grossing musical adaptation of all time.
And Part 2 just solidified it. She got the Oscar nomination for supporting actress. She got the Grammy we mentioned at the start. She proved that she isn't just a singer who can act. She is an actress who can sing. There's a difference.
And now she's saying on podcasts that she might want to stick with acting. That she's, and I'm quoting, tired of the pop star machine.
And frankly, can you blame her? She's conquered it. I mean, what is left for her to prove on the Hot 100?
Before we look at the future, though, we have to look at the other empire. The money. Because Ariana Grande is a business titan.
Let's talk about the perfume, because this is a masterclass in product positioning and market understanding.
Celebrity perfumes are usually, well, let's be honest.
They're usually cheap, sugary water sold at drugstores, or they're vanity projects that lose money and disappear in a year.
Right. But Ariana's fragrance line has generated over $1 billion in global retail sales.
$1 billion. And the key to that insane success is a single scent called Cloud.
I see this bottle everywhere, the little blue cloud shape.
Okay, so here is the genius of Cloud. In the luxury perfume world, there is a very famous, very expensive scent called Baccarat Rouge 540. It costs about $325 a bottle.
Okay.
It is the rich person's smell. It's what every influencer and celebrity wears.
Got it.
Ariana and her team created Cloud to be a near-identical dupe, a duplicate of Baccarat Rouge 540, but they sold it at Ulta for $65.
Oh, that is smart. That is so smart.
It is brilliant value engineering. She didn't just sell her name, she democratized a luxury product. People weren't just buying it because they were her fans. They were buying it because it smelled like a $300 product for a fraction of the price.
So it had value outside of her brand.
Exactly. That is why it was selling one bottle every 11 seconds at its peak in 2022.
That is the insight I was looking for. It wasn't just fandom, it was a market arbitrage. She found a gap and exploited it.
Precisely. And that success gave her the leverage on the capital to launch REM Beauty in 2021. And unlike some other celebrity brands that just slap a logo on generic formulas, she was very specific.
What was her focus?
She focused on high-margin, specific items like highlighters and lip oils that fit her personal aesthetic. She partnered with Ulta again, driving massive foot traffic into their stores. It's a very well-oiled machine.
It really is. But looking at her personal life, she's also made some very deliberate moves to protect herself from that machine. In 2021, she just deleted Twitter.
Which was a massive deal at the time. She was the queen of Twitter interaction. Her fans lived for it.
But she called it toxic, and she walked away.
And she was right. It was a mental health move. She realized that that kind of direct access to millions of people, to their opinions and their criticisms, creates a feedback loop that is impossible to manage emotionally.
She set a boundary, a very public one.
She did. And she's kept it. She uses Instagram and TikTok to broadcast, but she doesn't engage in the weeds anymore. It's a much safer, more controlled way to interact with her fame.
And she uses that massive platform for advocacy, too. We can't ignore that part of her story.
No, absolutely not. Her support for the LGBTQ plus community is foundational to her brand and her personal life. Her brother Frankie is gay, and she famously left the Catholic Church because of their stance on it.
And she puts her money where her mouth is.
She does. She pledged to match $1.5 million for a fund protecting trans youth. She's politically active, endorsing Biden and Harris. She uses her platform for more than just selling products.
So here we are, February 2026. She's won the Grammy for a Broadway song. Wicked is a historic success. She has the billion-dollar business empire, What is next?
Well, in the immediate future, she has to go back to work. The Eternal Sunshine Tour kicks off in June.
Her first tour since 2019. That is going to be a very emotional moment for fans who've been waiting for years.
It will be a victory lap, a celebration of the last 3 albums and the entire Wicked era. The ticket demand is going to be astronomical. It's going to break records.
But after the tour, you mentioned she's filming a new season of American Horror Story.
Yes. Season 13, filming this spring, and then the big one, the real pivot. She is signed on to star in a revival of Sunday in the Park with George on stage in London in 2027.
Sondheim.
Sondheim.
That is serious, serious musical theater. That is not pop music. That's a whole other level of difficulty and prestige.
That is the move of someone who wants a Tony Award to put next to her Grammy.
So let me pose this final question to you then. We've watched Ariana Grande conquer the teen sitcom. We've watched her conquer the Billboard charts. We've watched her conquer the beauty counter. And now she's conquered the cinema.
She has.
With this clear shift towards Sondheim and more serious acting, are we witnessing the end of Ariana the pop star? Was the Imperial phase just a stepping stone to get here? Are we looking at the beginning of Ariana the ego-pinned contender?
I think the answer is unequivocally yes. She has the Grammys, she has the Oscar nomination, and a win is very possible in her future. She's heading to the London stage for the Tony. Finding a strong Emmy project, maybe American Horror Story, maybe something else, is well within her reach.
So the ponytail's retired.
I think the ponytail pop star is retired. The artist, Ariana Grande Butera, is just getting started.
I would not bet against her. It's going to be fascinating to watch. Thanks for unpacking all of this with us.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.